A new public art initiative marks the 80th anniversary of the United Nations, inviting artists to examine the state of democracy and social justice. The very first featured artist is renowned Chinese dissident Ai Weiwei, whose powerful blend of art and activism has long focused on global human rights. Senior arts correspondent Jeffrey Brown reports for our series Art in Action, exploring the intersection of art and democracy and part of our Canvas coverage.
To spend time with the artist Ai Weiwei is to experience the playful.
I see you from the lens, see?
Oh, yes.
Yeah?
The very serious.
We always have to defend the fundamental values about who we are. We have to defend humanity, human rights, freedom of speech. 走过来到这儿.
And always a sense of purpose in what art can do.
Art should be activism, because art is in questioning establishment. Art is in questioning what is already been as a fixed idea. It looks so nice.
On this day, Ai was getting a first look at his latest public artwork.
So beautiful. It's like under the water, right?
Yeah.
You see the waves.
A large installation titled Camouflage. The final touch is still being applied at Franklin D. Roosevelt for Freedom State Park. Originally designed by famed architect Louis Kahn, it's a stunning setting, 3.5 acres on Roosevelt Island on New York's East River between Queens and Manhattan, with the United Nations building nearby.
The first is freedom of speech and expression.
That proximity is purposeful. The park is a monument to FDR and the 4 freedoms he called for in his January 1941 State of the Union speech. Freedom of speech and worship, freedom from want and fear. A vision for the future, even as Nazi Germany had plunged Europe into war and the U.S. debated joining the fight.
Freedom means the supremacy of human rights everywhere. Our support goes to those who struggle to gain those rights and keep them.
FDR's 4 freedoms would become founding principles of the United Nations Charter, even as war, divisions, and fear remain. Ai Weiwei, in fact, got the idea of camouflage from seeing it in a wartime setting on a visit he made to the front lines in Ukraine this past summer.
Hiding in Ukraine and the same kind of camouflage.
Ai says he was interested in the various meanings of camouflage, hiding and protecting something, but also misleading. Look closely, there's that playfulness again. The netting is filled with thousands of images of cats. Partly a nod to Roosevelt Island's history as an animal shelter, there's one just outside the park's gates, partly to the harm done to animals in war, but also a bit of personal history.
I always do work have layers, meaning relating to aesthetics, like art history, and relate to political situation, my personal struggle. I've been living 3-4 lives. So just like cats, normally we say cats have 9 lives. I already spent maybe 8 of them.
Born in 1957, Ai Weiwei is the son of a renowned poet who was forced to leave Beijing with his family to be re-educated in a rural village during China's Cultural Revolution. Ai came of age as part of a generation of young Chinese artists breaking out of past strictures, and lived in the U.S. for 12 years starting in 1981. He first made his name as an art provocateur. One famous work shows him purposely breaking an ancient Han Dynasty urn. He had Chinese government support as a designer of the 2008 Beijing Olympics Bird Nest Stadium, but then drew government anger, leading to imprisonment and a 4-year travel ban, after he investigated and documented flimsy construction and corruption following a 2008 earthquake in which thousands died. He's exhibited internationally, including a recent retrospective at the Seattle Art Museum titled I Rebel, The Art and Activism of Ai Weiwei. and he travels the world, including for his 2017 film Human Flow on international migration. Always he continues to explore and prod.
He was obvious because he's been discussing these issues of democracy and surveillance and human rights for so much of his career.
Howard Axel heads the Four Freedoms Park Conservancy, which programs park events and exhibitions, including this new project titled Art by Freedom, which grew out of a national rethinking of monuments and invites artists to create works to explore issues of social justice and freedom.
We can relook at our monuments and have them look forward and not always back.
And here's a monument to a great American. And you're doing what to it?
And we're overlaying today and tomorrow with contemporary artists. We are in a moment where this is a question of democracy and voting and rights and is in the headlines every day. A time of conflict not only directly related to camouflage, but certainly conflict in our public debate. And we wanted to use this space specifically to be part of that public debate. We're not going to tell them how to interpret it, but we are going to try to get people to think about it in their own lives.
To that end, visitors are invited to write their personal reflections on ribbons and tie them to the netting. The most specific reference to conflict used by Ai Weiwei, a neon sign bearing a Ukrainian proverb. For some people, war is war. For others, war is the dear mother. Ai says for him, art is about getting people to see their essential humanity and defending essential human values, now more than ever.
Almost 80 years after this fundamental idea raised up by the President Roosevelt, we still see freedom of speech is at a very difficult time. In the United States, I'm not talking about in China or in North Korea, but right in the United States. So I think as a camouflage, the West always talk about they have humanity, freedom of speech, and democracy. But we have to say everything is at a risk at this moment.
Ai Weiwei's camouflage is on view until November 10th. For the PBS NewsHour, I'm Jeffrey Brown at FDR Four Freedoms Park in New York City's East River.